Hey 3DMJers, this is Andrea Valdez and you're listening to the 3D Muscle Journey podcast. Today I'm talking with one of our head coaches, Alberto Nunez, and our team's injury prevention and management specialist, Nick Licamelli, about why to trust or not to trust people in the fitness and healthcare industries. This conversation stemmed from Nick's latest article on the 3DMJ blog titled, Attention Healthcare and Fitness Professionals, You Will Cease to Exist. It's a pretty serious title and a pretty serious message that we all stand behind as a cautionary tale of what can happen if the mainstreams of fitness continue to become more and more clickable, alarmist, and shallow in nature. Nick and Alberto will discuss some of the points made in that blog post, and we'll do a deep dive into how we view trust online as a whole, trust in terms of business and education, trust in information providers, and even trust in medical doctors of various fields. So if you're someone who educates themselves online in any way, which is obviously all of you listening because that's how you found this show, we think this podcast is important. And we think it's extra important for listeners who have a social media or online following, those who want a social media or online following, and anyone else who's just starting to educate themselves about their whole physique and bodily performance, but isn't quite sure who to trust or follow along their way. As usual, if you have any feedback or comments on this episode, go to 3dmusclejourney.com or to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/team3dmj and leave it under podcast number 145. Please enjoy this episode titled Who Can You Trust in Fitness with myself, Alberto Nunez, and Nick Licamelli. All right, so how would we even differentiate fitness with healthcare? Nick, I'll let you start because you're the only one that's actually in healthcare.
Oh. Well, I guess we'll call healthcare any kind of. That's a very gray line now that I'm thinking about it.
Isn't it? It didn't used to be until recently.
Right.
Like, it used to be very obvious, like, there's my doctor because I have a cough, or my personal trainer at Gold's Gym.
Can we call it someone who is you go to for your health, but it's not like a performance or physique type goal, or is that not even encompass it, right?
I think that's a good start for this podcast, right? Because obviously we're not talking about like oncologists or something,
right?
Or any other So for us, it's kind of more like, all right, our audience is athletes, so mostly joint care in whatever way that is. So like that would be orthopedic surgeon, physical therapist, chiropractor. What else am I missing there? That's kind of it, in America at least. Or what is it, a physio overseas?
Yeah.
But all those things. Okay. So for our purposes, we were talking about people who take care of bones, joints, connective tissues, things that would get in the way of an athlete performing. What else? I guess that could be nerves, musculoskeletal system, possibly neurology. I think they get it, right? Was that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good enough. So we're going to talk about those people, all the people that would take care of your body. And then also to set the stage for the rest of this podcast, when we say the industry, we all do this mostly online. So do we want to stick to that to start? When we say fitness, healthcare industry, we mean like mostly online because that's where we live. That's where our companies live. Yeah. And Berto, when you hear, we talk a lot about like you need trustworthy sources. What does trustworthy mean to you in terms of online fitness and health? Ready, go.
Okay. Well, I guess the biggest conflict is like we live in the information era. So there's a lot of information like just, like way more out there than ever before, but a lot of it's in question. And that's the issue where like I live in my own little bubble, which is, like our peeps, our group. And it's crazy because, like, hey, it's like we'll disagree with something that Paul Revelia said or something that, like, Mike Israetel said, but it's like 10%, like, realistically, probably less, you know? And, like in my head, sometimes I'm like, this is the conflict. And then, like, I step out and I get into, like, the big fitness world. Usually when I go to an expo, like, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like we are, like, maybe 2% of the information that is out there. So that's the issue. Is just there's so much information, but so much of it, the majority of it, by a long shot, is like awful and not in the best interest of the consumer.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the big shifts is, like you say, there's a lot of information out there, and unfortunately, information is now content. Yeah. Right? So I guess that's the difference, right? It used to be the information was in person when you saw your personal trainer or at the pamphlet in your doctor's office or some shit like that. But now it's like...
But your Body for Life book, and, like, for the next, like, 3 weeks, that's all you're reading. It's like, what's in there, and but now it's like, man, you could have 8 different opinions on, like, whether or not calories matter, like in one swipe down your feed. And that's so confusing.
It's so true. And I mean, like, so for example, on if you're watching a YouTube video, like Berta, like you're saying, in our own little bubbles, you have the videos that pop up next, and they're all pretty much in our bubble. But then there's, like, always that ad in the middle of, like, a video, and it's like, do you want a 6-pack for summer? It's like, have you checked out? And I'm like, wow, like that is reality. Like, like you get so used to being in our bubble, and, like you're saying, you pick apart different things that different people are saying, but then in the grand scheme of things, like, whew, man, it's, and I guess it's what sells, right? Because it wouldn't be there if it didn't sell. Like, people hate on the Kardashians, but the only reason the Kardashians are the Kardashians is because people watch them. If people didn't watch them, they wouldn't be there. So I feel like if they must be gaining followers. They must be pulling people in somehow, or else they wouldn't exist.
Yeah, they're a good time to look at, so they got that going for them. But I guess okay. So the guy who promises you 6-packs by next Friday, though, also is good looking. Also is making money. So I guess that's the blessing and the curse, right? We make a living because we coach online. But I would say, I would guess most people who make a living, say, in the fitness space, mostly through Instagram, or, like, it's not just coaching, right? Like, we actually perform a service, but a lot of the money to be made out there in this, like Berto said, information age is because of products and clicks and views and shit, right? So I guess that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think what fascinates me so much is what makes someone trust someone or something. Because I remember reading, I want to say it was either Stephen Covey or Simon Sinek, but they said that trust is kind of like love. Right? Like, if you ask me why I love my wife, I can't give you objective reasons why. I can't say, well, she has pretty hair, or I like her. It's not.
I'm going to tell her you said that.
Right? Like, love is this abstract thing, just like trust. Like, what makes trust? Trust is it. So when I first discovered you guys, I didn't dive into your world right away. Like, it took me just weeks and months of just consistent, like, disgusting authenticity. Like, I'm like, wow, like, this, they're for real. Like, this is the real deal. And then I just couldn't not somehow try to contribute. Like, I became a Patreon. Like, the trust that was formed between me and people I never even met was really amazing. And people buy not because of what you make, they buy because they connect with you somehow, right? Like, you make an emotional decision to trust someone. So I guess it's how is that trust made, and what, like, how do you define that trust, and how is it made? Like, it's made over time, but then it can be broken in a second, right? Like one wrong move, and then it's like, ooh, like, almost got me.
Yeah. If your wife cheats on you one time, similar to that though. But I get what you're saying. Like, so to contrast that or whatever, you're right, and that's obviously Berto's been there since the beginning. But the same thing happened to me, right? Those are the coaches I sought out after consuming every YouTube video they'd ever put out the 2 years prior to me reaching out to Berto. So while that is true, I think I'm going to pat us on the back, Nick, because I think we had a really good trust radar, because I'm pretty sure most fitness and healthcare things are bought on promises without trust. Right. Like you said, I can get you 6 packs by next week, and I can get you, 10 pounds off your waist by tomorrow or whatever, right? Like these things that sound good. So, and I guess the hard part is the general public are so uneducated. Like we hear those promises and we're like, and that's not physically possible. But, the 19-year-old college freshman who just gained her freshman 15 is like, I want this more than anything. Here's my $20 for your ebook.
Right.
That I'm not going to follow and look the same next week. But,
Yeah, and I think we've all been there. Like, we all know what that tastes like, sort of. At least in the beginning, I know the feeling of walking into a GNC or vitamin shop and being like, bingo. Like,
this is the
this
cure.
This is it right
this
now.
Powder.
Right, yeah. And it seems real in that moment. Like, you have no reason to think otherwise. And I think, and we'll get into healthcare, in a second, but it's very similar in the sense that you think something to be true, and then you get enlightened and you think about it differently, and then now it's my purpose to try to help those people who were in my shoes back then. Because once you taste that, once you've gotten burned in the past, I feel like it makes it your responsibility now to do something about that. And it works the other way too. Like I was saying, I was drawn to you guys. There was something about me that you guys found, value. You trusted the kind of person I was. And I remember asking you in the beginning, like, what was it about me? Like, what did I do right? And it wasn't, you didn't give me a list of things that I did right. It was kind of like just a feeling that I exuded somehow, and you guys kind of picked up on.
Yeah. I'm trying to, well, like for me, I can tell you, I can compliment you right now. It's like filling a hole that not even a hole, like one, it's an alignment of messages and integrity, right? Of like, one, you're a physical therapist, and I think the listeners know, like it's, and I think this has to do with trust. Trust is like filling a gap in us and our team, and seeing like this is something that's going to be in addition to our overall, our goal. And that is like Eric always wanted, I say Eric, all of us, like, but Eric's idea was like, we need a physical therapist / chiro, some type of sports physio, a mental health counselor. We have Rizzo, and an actual registered dietitian with Steve, right? And we didn't seek any of this. It all just kind of came about. And I know you're the last piece of that puzzle, but also I think I insta-stalked you after it was like this is the organic trust that was built, right? I have read Tony Gentlecore's blog off and on for years, since I was a personal trainer back in whenever in the day. Before 3DMJ, actually, if I can view it, he used to be on Eric Cressy's website, right? And so then I guess you had followed me or the 3D account or both, or I'm not sure. So I knew you existed, and then you were a natural bodybuilder, and it was, and then I saw that you had posted like, hey, I just had this article on Tony Gentlecore site, and I was like, oh wow, like that's a bodybuilder who has who is trusted by another person that I trust.
Right.
And is in this field in which I know we're looking. So I just I think I was like, hey, if you ever want to write for us, feel free. I think that's how it started.
Yeah, I think I probably took like 2 days to get back to you because I was trying to like get my composure, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
No, and then it's like the trust is built by like article 3 or 4 or 5 of you
Right.
on our site, and we're like, okay, let's actually talk to this guy.
Right.
But again, I know that we, especially me, even though I'm the latest to 3D, I have a very aggressive filter for trust. Berto knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I thought you were going to say something. I don't trust a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, to use me as an example, I'm by no means perfect or have everything figured out, but the way that I started writing for Tony and the way that any of that started was never to make money, was never to get any kind of sponsorship, was never to join Team 3DMJ. That was never even in my mind. What I was doing was I had information that I just had to get out somehow. So I was literally writing articles with nowhere to go. Like I just had them all saved on my desktop. And then this opportunity with Tony came up and I sent him it and one thing just kind of led to another. But my main drive was always just to get this information out and try to make this place better, right? Because I was here. I know it sounds cliche, but that was the only thing that was driving me. And then it just kind of worked out. And then here I am. But I think that's the foundation has to be principles, right? It has to be built off of honesty, integrity, humility, empathy, right? All these things that sound cliche, but they're so, so important. And I think it really, there's a saying, who you are speaks too loudly. I can't hear what you're saying, or something like that.
What you
Meaning
do
like,
versus what you say.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of these fitness pros or healthcare practitioners that may not deserve trust, I think they all start from the wrong place. I think it has to start with principles.
Right. Bert, you said this information age earlier. Do you think it's this? I mean, we haven't talked about this kind of stuff on our podcast in probably like a year. I feel like it's been a long time. But do you feel like we're in the middle of something, like a shift from like what used to be to what is now, and like that's why this keeps coming up for us? New age? Is this what's happening?
I don't know.
Or is this how it's always been? Like shit's gonna change? I don't know.
I got this watermelon sports water. It's like the worst thing ever. So if I keep making faces, it's because it's horrible.
What brand is it?
Got that.
Now they'll never sponsor you.
It's got that.
They'll never sponsor you now.
WTRMLNWTR. There you go.
Okay.
Maybe whatever. Anyhow, man, there's so many parallels between, I guess, anything fitness or whatever domain you might be familiar with and maybe even have mastered like long enough and like just the real world as a whole. And like I look at how, when I first entered the fitness world, like I hadn't mastered any domain. I think that was a big thing. I was just a kid. So like emotions, like really, they were what led me into whatever direction I chose. I wasn't. It's like, oh, I really vibe with this bodybuilder. So you know what? I want to be like Branch Horn and say like, fuck my labrums. Let's just do it this way.
Nobody needs upper appendages to work.
Labrums, it sounds female. I don't need that body part. But
anything that starts with LAB, we don't need.
Doctor's like, Branch, you have no more labrums. Damn, I ain't got no labrums.
Or lower appendages. I forget. There's one in the hip too, right? Or there's hip labrums.
That's right. Yeah.
There's going to be a... Never mind.
You remember in Generation Iron when he fell off the horse?
That was a good mistake.
And got injured.
And right before that, he was like, I've never been hurt.
That's what he gets.
Hey, what you want? And that's the true story. I did vibe with him and Johnny Jackson. Those were my dudes coming up. And it was why? Because, yeah, I vibed off that energy. But it's kind of also like similar times to, hey, maybe your first like high school sweetheart, you're like, we're going to get married. We're like 15 and we know what we're talking about because these hormones and these emotions are so strong. There's no way this isn't true.
Yeah.
Right. And so now, whenever I step into a world that's not my world, it's so crazy how my approach is like I can talk to someone who this is what they do, and just right off the bat, based off like their demeanor, what words they choose, how they're relaying information to me, I can tell you if like they're likely to be BS or not. You can't judge everyone off a 15-minute like interaction. They might be having a rough day. Who knows, right? But so it's very different whenever I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check out what's like I wanted to buy land recently. There's like all these weird patches of like land out here, like that like at some point they're gonna be filled out, but it's like I need to learn a little bit more about how this works, especially land in these kind of like volatile-ish areas. And like I know that guess what? In order to really know what I'm talking about, it's gonna take like probably 5-7 months of like just really researching, and I'm gonna have to start all over a bunch of times and be like, all right, scratch that. That was totally wrong. So it's way different whenever I'm not committed to like that's not what I want to be an expert in. But when I first started this, it was solely based off emotion, and like now it's more like I guess the critical thinking side of my brain, and like I try to throw the emotions off to the side if anything. So yeah, I think just like how do we solve a lot of the world's problems is it's by just like educating people. Like I don't expect everyone to master a specific domain by the age of 16 but like critical thinking skills are just so important to like everything you do. Like it's not necessarily what you learn or what you memorize, but like how you think, So I think that's the next step. And I do think we're in general heading in that direction. I think the consumer now in fitness on average, but who knows, this just might be the people that I'm exposed to. They're way more educated than, like when I was coming up with like my generation of noobs. So I'm optimistic there because if the consumer is more educated, which again, that relays back to us as like, hey, the only way it's going to happen is if like we do our job, especially. I think we do a good job of that, but like keep pushing to make the consumer smarter so they can separate like the shit from the ice cream. But yeah, that's
I didn't know that's how you made
that's
ice cream.
key. I think.
Yeah.
That's
You know
important.
what? You said though that sticks out that I hadn't really thought about before was your analogy with the high school sweetheart and falling in love, and you're like, obviously this is the love of my life, and now you're like, that was a shit show. But you were younger, right? And I think the opportunities, because internet, the opportunities for you to be an entrepreneur start at like, I don't know, 13 years old or some. No, the most famous YouTuber last year is 8 years old, if I'm not mistaken. This is not a joke. His name's Ryan.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So what I wonder is, like when Nick's selling, like or says like we have principles and we think clearly and we wait and we don't just use emotion to build this trust, blah 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 blah. But we're also if I would have if I was 15 right now and found fitness or whatever, like obviously I would follow like 17-year-olds who look hot. Like, I wouldn't take the time to find the right information. Not because probably because I'm a young idiot, but not just because I'm an idiot, just like I don't know better yet, right? And so I think there's not just use numerically, but like actually, yeah, like if you were a fitness professional 20 years ago, you had a job and worked at the gym and showed up. And now if you're in fitness, you could be 14 with an Instagram account and 12-year-olds follow you. Like, and if they put out shitty information, I mean, that's not really their fault because that might really be what they know. And you can't separate that. Go ahead.
I do think a lot of the people who dispense really like, I think like all the 5%ers, like I think they're still around. Um, like, I really do think they believe their stuff. Like
Right.
that's, like 100%. Like
Honestly,
their body, this is how it's
if
done.
I look at shit I put on the internet in 2013 and 2014, like on my YouTube channel, it like makes me cringe. And that was me literally being like, this is the best information I could put out there. This is what I know. And I'm just older and wiser, just a few more years into it. Like I never, I don't know. It was never like, let me pull a wool over these people's eyes. It was like, let me show you how to do this because I got it figured out. Like I literally thought that.
I think it's not so bad to look back and see misinformation, because if it was what we thought was true at the time, that is what it is, right? What I think to be true now is the only thing I can go off of. But I think the difference is that everything that 3DMJ puts out, everything that I put out, everything that other trusted resources put out, very rarely are we speaking in definites, right, or black and white. I always imagine, okay, if this were to be flipped on its head, can I look back on this video and understand that I left there to be room for possibility to be different? And I think that's important. I think it's the delivery of the information. Not, of course, the information has to be accurate, but it's always going to change, right? It's always changing. So I think the important part is the way that we deliver it and the way that we communicate with our colleagues and the people who are the consumers, right? And like Berto said, you hit the nail on the head, man. It's the critical thinking and the communication skills and all those things that it's every single interaction, every single avenue you could take in life. Anything from politicians to fitness to healthcare, like any kind of debate, right? The concept of a debate, it doesn't make sense, right? Because if there's a winner, there's a winner and a loser. The winner means that they don't change their thoughts and they gain nothing new. And the loser possibly gets a different perspective. That doesn't make sense, right? It should be the opposite, or both people should be enlightened by each other. And I think sometimes when people don't deserve trust and they speak in these absolutes, or they're trying to push an agenda, I think that gets lost, and they're so stuck on their views. And that's why all these videos that come out, or the this debate or that debate, or the foam rolling debate, or this, like I highly doubt that the top cancer researchers have YouTube videos that debate with each other, right? Like when it comes to something like that, I feel like everyone's on the same team. Like, look, we have cancer in the world, right? We need to come together and learn from each other. If you know something that I don't know, you need to tell me, and I need to learn from it. Where fitness and physical therapy, I don't think it's like that, because it's not life or death. So I think there's more room, and the research is, there's not always absolute conclusions when it comes to these things. There's some gray area. Things are always changing. So I think there's more my way and your way, and I'm right and you're wrong. And I don't think that's good. And I think that's one of the main drivers in people losing trust. I think, like I mentioned before, the politicians, right? And like the article that I wrote for the website, the politicians at one point were the most powerful people in the world, right? Like they were the people. They were the people that influenced the world. Nowadays, it's not like that. Like, I feel like more people laugh at politicians. They watch debates and more just for entertainment. Like, oh my goodness, look at them like bickering with each other. And now the most powerful people are the innovators, right? Like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musks, like the Tom Bilyeu, like these guys who have no political position. They're the ones who are influencing people. A simple change in something like Twitter or Amazon could change the world. Right. And these, I think people have lost faith in someone like a politician, but the politicians did it to themselves. And I think that's where healthcare and fitness, especially online fitness, is going. I think we are just stuck in the woods, and we're just, not us, but in the field in general, there's a lot of reacting to the times and changing to the times, but not ever stepping back and looking at the big picture. Like, what is this going to do for this world? What is it going to do for fitness? What's it going to do for physical therapy? And I think we're going down the same road as those politicians, or like a car salesman, right? If you ask someone what they think about a car salesman, everyone has a negative thought about them. No one says, "Oh, I got the best car salesman. I had the best experience the other day." And now you have websites that you could buy a car and get it delivered to your house. So I think a lot of times people we do it to ourselves and don't realize it. And I think that there's still time to fix that for fitness and healthcare. But if we keep going down the same path, I think we're going to be laughable, and I think people are going to find other places to get their information from. And in a world where information is infinite, and you have Dr. Google diagnosing your shoulder pain, and you have the six pack by Friday guy on your YouTube ads, if we're not the people who are going to be the resource we want to be, where are they going to go for that information?
All right, that was a good soapbox, Nick. I want to buy you one. I want to buy you a tall one.
That's especially given what happened recently. Like, that was a shit show, kind of. Like, I'm like, man, come on, we're adults here, right? We're gonna solve this problem. Me and Robin Gallant are gonna run for office in 2020.
Really quick favor, guys. If you enjoy these shows and have been a listener for quite some time, we would really, really, really appreciate it if you could take the time to give us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcast app may be. Having lots of ratings and audience feedback makes our show become more visible across multiple platforms, and it supports our mission of helping as many people as we can to be the best athletes, coaches, and lifting enthusiasts that they could possibly be. So if you're not driving and wouldn't be dangerous, pause this thing right now and give us an honest review over on your podcast app, and we would love you even more than we already do. Thanks for taking the time, and we hope you enjoy the show.
If I ever ran for office and I was in a debate, and someone asked me, "So what's the answer? Like, how are you going to solve like the healthcare like crisis?" I would say, "That's a good question. What do you guys think?" And I would just kind of open it up, like have a conversation. Like, I don't know, don't have the answer, but I would love to work as a team to get the answer. I wonder like what would happen.
So like, I'm just trying to think like, okay, so our listeners are usually, there's a lot of them who are coaches themselves. If not coaches themselves, they are competitive athletes. If not that, they are at least most of the time lifters who are, okay, not all the time. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it's of the times, and I'm one of them myself at sometimes, a lifter with an Instagram account who is sometimes, trying to share what they know, be useful, sometimes some of them turn it into a business, sometimes they don't. But I wonder if that's one of the roots of the problem, is that everyone assumes they have to be a brand. So I have to put out information, and therefore, and they're not like experts in the field yet, or like they figured out one or two things, and they mean well, and they're trying, they feel like they're supposed to be putting out like they're supposed to be teaching people, when like no one, that's not real, but everyone thinks that they have to be, I guess. And so if we have like all these listeners, right, let's say 30% of them are coaches, 10% of them are like really high upper level, very experienced athletes, and there's like probably 20 or 30% of these people of our whole population that like, again, that are lifters, that love this, that have had great results for themselves, and feel this pressure to put out. This is all just observations, I could be wrong, but like if it seems like everyone feels they have to put out the content, Mm-hmm. And this is another situation where I don't think anyone's trying to make shitty amounts of money or like be bad about it. It's just like, either they're just saying something that some expert said and just just rehashing it for you, or they're not as experienced as they. Man, I'm really trying not to sound bad, because it's really not. It's just like it's an observation. Like, you see someone have one bodybuilding show and they're going to teach all their friends how they did it, and it's like, man, if the three of us can think about our first bodybuilding season, how much shit we did wrong, but you just don't know it, And I feel like
it's something I said or we said, and we're like, no, that's not what we meant.
Yeah. And there's a pretty,
yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure it's not just fitness, I'm sure it's everything else, like every industry has their, but ours, it's like a really big chunk. And I keep saying Instagram because Instagram is a visual medium and our sport is a visual sport. So either watch me lift or look at my body. And that worries me, I guess. And I try to, I struggle with this a lot. Like, I've been, like I said, like how many years ago, like 6-7 years ago, where I was like, I'm going to help people. And I look back at those videos and I'm like, I shouldn't have been helping people. Not really. Actually, it was way better than what I think is most did. But it's stuff that I wouldn't do now, right? And then I become a 3DMJ coach. And I still do a lot of content for 3DMJ. And I feel like that's my place for that. But personally, I know my boyfriend feels the same way. I have a lot of friends that feel the same way, that we feel like, can't I just like have fun on the internet without having to teach people things? Like, I feel a pressure to teach people things or tell people how I do things or how they can get better. And I think that contributes to a good amount of information that we would say is not the best. Or, can y'all stop me from talking? I'm going to say, was that offensive? It wasn't supposed to be.
No, you're doing a good job of, yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. You should keep going with it, though.
I mean that's it. No,
okay.
Is that I think a lot of it comes from people who don't. A lot of the not super helpful information comes from people who aren't experts, but either think they are or feel pressure to pretend like they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna stop
like
there.
Outside of 5%ers, but yeah, just like those folks that they have enough eyes on them where they're like, okay, well, shoot, I gotta say something because they're expecting something from me now, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel hella expectations on the internet.
Yeah, no, I do too. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you have like that. I don't know. You should.
I've been really bad about putting information. I've just been having fun.
Well, see, I wish. But that's the thing, right? Is like, okay, this brings up another good point. Just because someone has a lot of followers doesn't mean they're trying to teach you something. Right? So like LeBron, for example, he's just a fucking athlete celebrity, but he's not telling you how to dribble. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or Juju.
Mufu? That one?
Yeah, he's just entertainment, and he's one of those like, hey, I'm going to motivate you to get your ass in the gym because it looks like a ball,
Yeah,
you can try the splits and fuck up your shit, but like, hey, give this a try. Like he stays in his lane,
His lane. But I guess that's the thing, right? It's like if people always stayed in their super safe, like their lane, then no one ever pushes themselves, right? Like we look back at shit thinking, how did I say that? But it's how we got to where we are now. So I realize that, and like you said, Nick, that people get better over time, and we should be looking back. Like if we are the same person a year ago, then we didn't get any better. Like obviously that's true, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of it's from, like, people get angry at people that put out bad information. And I truly believe that it's not mostly to be mean or bad or money hungry. I think it's a lot of people that don't know better for whatever reasons, of the reasons that we've said. Also, I think another group of people that put out information that probably don't know it's bad are like the genetically gifted. Like this, it happens a lot in like the divisions that need less size. So like bikini and physique athlete, I know a lot of people who don't have these genetics don't agree with this, but a lot of people think about when you were like in middle school football. There's like 2 or 3 guys that are like, you already have a 6-pack and delts, and like all these other 13-year-old boys hate themselves, you know? Like, there's people like that, you know? Same with bikini girls. Like on my cheer squad, there's a couple girls that I'm like, wow, you look amazing, and I have the chest of a 10-year-old boy, you know? And like they just look all put together. Like there's people that don't have to do as much work as the average person to get the visual results that they want. And so then they'll say like, I just do this and it works out. When it's like, that's not going to work for a lot of people. You just don't know that.
That's literally healthcare summed up right there.
Really?
In a beautiful analogy. It works for me. So, hey, this is right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the scariest people are the ones who actually think they're doing good, right? The ones who know they're doing bad and put out bad information, like maybe someday they'll wake up in the morning and be like, maybe I should stop doing this. But the person that actually go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I don't think that's a whole lot of people. I really think people have. And then there's the people that have convinced themselves. You know, they'll say like, I can think of someone we all know very recently that's like their Instagram literally says, my purpose is to help people. So blah, blah. And it's like, I see your purpose and you really like how you look with your shirt off and you sell some really janky stuff. But sure, your purpose. Okay. You know, like I think that they believe drink their own Kool-Aid? Is that right?
Yeah.
Because they went to enough seminars that say, if you help yourselves, then you can touch all these people's lives. So they've turned themselves into like this. I don't know what the word is. What's the word when you like think that? Never mind. You know what I'm talking about?
But
I'm a big deal.
Yeah. Well,
I should tell everybody what to do. It's my duty.
It's strange because I'm about to go hang out with our buddy Brian Miner after this, and like I'm throwing him under the bus, but fuck it, he's like my best friend, so I can say what I want.
Okay.
But like he's super bright, super smart, great understanding about like many different things. Like there's few guys like on this
Brian's
planet
awesome.
that know as much as him when it comes to nutrition, powerlifting, hypertrophy, like just fucking beast. But he's like, it's like that old Mark Twain quote, like all you need in life to succeed is ignorance and confidence. And like a lot of these people who are like just putting shit out there, that's the issue. It's like they're that confident that this is I got the sauce, it's right here. Whereas sometimes a lot of the people who are just great critical thinkers that have done a wonderful job educating themselves, and they almost have too many filters at times, where they're like, it's like, and sometimes I'm like, man, I wish these people like
Brian,
people like Brian, because Brian that's his issue. He's got so much to share, but sometimes he's like, not good enough. And I'm like, dude, it's just
and that's what makes him great. Yeah.
Sometimes. Because there's people out there who are like drinking other people's stuff and it's not doing them any good. And I think anyone who is decently smart, they're good learners. They want to be the best like teachers possible. And sometimes like nothing is good enough. And sometimes the best thing to do is to just be a little bit more just reactive, like those people who just throw things out there without giving it a second thought, right?
Yeah, it's like the more you know you don't know. And when that gets to the extreme, it kind of handcuffs you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think, just to go back to how we were saying, more people, I think, are not out to, make money. They're just trying to help, but they just don't know. I think that's probably true in fitness because the barrier to entry is pretty much having a decent physique and having an Instagram account.
Yeah.
In healthcare, I think there are more people trying to make money because the barrier to entry is often some kind of schooling, or you have to get some kind of degree. So you likely already have a business and already have some way to make some kind of money. Or some kind of product.
Someone's proven your authority because they gave you this license.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I think as a healthcare practitioner, you're in a better position to make a profit or to have a business already. Like a a lot of healthcare providers make social media accounts after they have their thing. Whereas I feel like in fitness, it may not be that way. So in fitness, it's easier to just get honest information out that you think is going to help people. But in healthcare, it's like, all right, I have this course that I'm going to teach about how to manipulate the spine. I'm going to make an Instagram account. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I have this machine. It's going to, the different like soft tissue release machines and different types of foam rollers with gadgets sticking out of them. Like, I feel like sometimes in healthcare, it's more that I need to sell this. I need to show that this is the best way to do it. And if anyone puts any kind of evidence against it, I have to come at them with 20 references that I didn't even read. All these studies that I don't even know what they say, or block someone, right? Because they disagree with me. Because now if I invest in something, so if I invest in my education and my degree, and I invest in inventing some or patenting some product, or I invest in creating this business or an ebook or a platform or something, if that gets challenged, that means that it's challenging me personally, right? So the more I invest in something, the more I'm going to be less open-minded to other opinions. And like we said before, things are always changing. And one of the best qualities in any field you get in is to keep an open mind, because you're probably wrong. No matter what, someone has
eventually
something,
will prove you wrong.
right?
Yeah.
Someone has something
Or find
good
something
to
better.
say. Right, or find something better, or find some way to help you think differently in a way that you never thought before.
Yeah.
But if you're too invested and you have to sell this vibrating gun that loosens up fascia in your IT band, you're going to defend it until your last breath. And I think sometimes, I think sometimes that's where that we're doing it to ourselves thing comes in. Like, we're just reacting to different things, and then before we know it, all of a sudden, like, we're just laughable. Like, we're just another product out there.
Yeah. Do y'all think we're being like dinosaurs about this though? Like, remember how everyone was like, radio's the devil, and then later on, like, TV's the devil, and now we're like, internet's changing everything, and it's like, in 15 years, they're gonna be like, what were we talking about? Like, it's gonna happen anyways. It always happens, like every couple decades or whatever.
That's just that old head talk, man. That's one thing I've committed to never doing. It's like, grandma be judging like the fitness Gymshark girl, because she like all wearing her astronaut suit, all these thousands of people, and it's like, grandma, you know what? Had this been your time, you would have been doing the exact same things. So, like, it's just different avenues, and ours just tends to be very efficient. It's only going to get more efficient as time goes on. I mean, that's kind of scary, because almost right now it's hard to keep up with, right? But no, I don't think we're being dinosaurs at all.
Yeah.
No.
Like, we're not saying the internet sucks. We're just saying, like, because it is happening, these are the changes.
Well, it's like stranger danger back in the day. You mentioned, like, it was the first time I ever heard of that phrase, but you got to be social media literate,
Yeah.
Like, you got to know what's up in your environment and like know how to fend for yourself. So, this is relatively new, so we don't know necessarily. Like, we knew this like towards the tail end of print. Like, hey, beauty magazines, watch out with those, man, because like, they'll fuck with your head, right?
Yeah.
And now it's same thing, just a deadlier weapon, I guess you could say. But hey, it also has potential to do a lot of good.
Yeah, it definitely does a lot of good. And that's the thing. It's like the cream always rises to the top or whatever. Like, I just don't want it to sound like this is an episode of us being like, the internet's dumb and it's too fast and we hate it and social media sucks. Like, that's not what we're saying. I guess Nick, that was dog ears. I could hear that. Well, I guess what we're not even saying, like, trying to have a conversation about is like, what is the takeaway? Like, how people can, is it like a warning? Like, if we're not careful,
there's responsibilities on both ends. I think is what I'm getting from this. It's as a consumer, it's like, hey, be protective of your fucking coin and your time, and your health too, because sometimes, like,
Because those shit teas
We
will
fuck people
get
up,
you
you
dehydrated
know?
real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, girl, you ain't had your period in 2 years, and it's like, hey, no one ever taught this man how to squat, you know? So yeah, be careful as a consumer, and if you do have some sort of, uh, yeah, if you have some say, and you have an audience that patiently waits for you to get on that soapbox, is like, be fucking responsible with it, and like, just like, you always want fitness booty to look better. It's like the same thing should be when it comes to your knowledge. It's like you should over time, like you should be an agent for the truth, I guess, is
Your
probably
knowledge booty.
yeah. So knowledge booty, yeah, sharpen that thing up.
Um, though it's hard because at the end of the day, like Nick was saying, the Theragun or whatever. Sorry, whoa, didn't mean to put that brand out there. Wow, I'm not cutting that out either. It's just it's what I relate with my IT band stiffness. But you were talking about like a product like that and how doctors will put their name on it, and now it's like, oh shit, now I gotta sell this thing. But there's also what's scary about fitness is that it does, like you said, Bert, correlate with your health. A lot of the time, not all the time, because obviously bodybuilding is not healthy at sometimes and whatever. But we did say fitness and healthcare, and obviously the goal is to be alive longer. One of the goals. But there's also this whole other thing that grays it up too, is like there's I don't know, cups, clothing, sports bras, shoes. Like there's just like goods that aren't hurting or harming anyone, but the way that you sell these Gymshark suits is you put them on cute little girls and you do the angle where it's below, down into the side of their squats and like, whatever. And so there's like fitness, or there's just like marketing of goods, and then there's like information.
Right.
And these models try to sell information, and that's when I think there's another big population of people that are supposed to be doing good, but it's actually like, we hired you because you look good. Like, you don't need to tell us how to eat, because that's not, you would think it's all the same. And I think very logically at like a base level, if I've never been into fitness my whole life and I see, well, these girls look great, this is how they eat, this is what maybe I should listen to them. And we know a lot of times it's like not exactly how it works, but I wouldn't fault anyone for thinking that,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to also the narrative. So, like you're saying, so the pair of shorts or a tight-fitting pair of pants isn't harmful. But then if you say like, oh, if you buy these shorts, like you will look like this, or nothing wrong with that vibrating gun, right? Nothing wrong with it. It'll make you feel less tight. It'll take away some pain. But then when the narrative gets put on that, hey, by the way, you're feeling less pain and less tightness because X, Y, and Z is happening within your muscle, then it's like, wait. Like, that's a whole different animal. So I think something could be harmless, but then it gets like misconstrued, or the marketing just kind of gets out of hand and snowballs into something that it never needs to even be.
Yeah. I'm just going to say a thing that I've tried to do, not tried to do, but I've tried really hard for a while now not to, since I haven't been coaching with 3D, so I don't feel like I quite have the, I don't feel like I'm in a place to want to give people #fitness advice, but I do have no problem being like, hey, this is what I do. And I think that there's a big difference there in how I feel when I say that. When I say, hey, this is what I do, that's fine. But in my insides, if I said like, well, this is how you should eat, then I feel like that's not true. That's not something I should say. That's not something that I should be doing. And that's because I'm going to say I'm probably more qualified than most, but I'm still like, I don't find fault in that. And I think that's, as a content producer and consumer, I'm going to say that like, I find that valuable when people share that. And I don't ever feel like that's pretentious. And I feel like that's an easy way for those people out there to put out content, because people find that interesting and sometimes helpful, but it's not the end buy my e-guide that tells you exactly how to do this. Like or download my free whatever. But I think that's a distinction that, I don't know, it's hopefully help some people, just like the whole, like there's fitness marketing for goods and then there's actual like advice on how to handle yourself. I think there's a difference between like sharing on social media, which I think a lot of people want to do, and then being like, and this is what you should do. And if you can separate, like, I think some people mean to share their journey and not be like a soapboxy or not be, I don't think some people mean to be information providers, but because of the way that they word it, like they're telling people what to do rather than like sharing what they do. I think that that distinction makes everyone a lot safer, consumer and content maker or whatever.
Yeah, I think you hit on something, Andrea, that is, for me anyway, a dead giveaway of someone that you can trust. And that's when you were saying how if someone came to you for how, what to eat or how to eat, like, yeah, you're probably more qualified than most people, but you have enough humility, you have enough professionalism to say, like, I could probably give you good advice, but I'm going to refer you to this person, or like I'm not gonna be the one to tell you that, where I think a lot of times that doesn't happen. If someone came to me who was a high level dancer, I'm sure I could treat them and I can get them better, but like if I know a physical therapist that works with dancers, I'm gonna be the one to say, I appreciate you coming to me, but I'm going to connect you with this person because I think they're probably going to be better for you.
Right.
Or if I'm seeing a client online and they say, I'm thinking of running a hypertrophy, mesocycle. What do you think I should do? How should I set it up? I'd say I could give you decent advice, but I'm going to, you're going to want to go to like the 3DMJ. You're going to want to go to like the pyramids. You're going to want to check that out. Like, I'm not going to be the one who you're going to come to for everything.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because it's not like if someone asks me on the street, that is what I would say. Like, you know what? I don't think it's not that I don't. It's not even that I don't feel qualified to answer this person. It's more like I don't know you. Like if I was like, if I told the guys, hey, I want to start coaching again, I would have no problem doing it. But the difference is, when someone works with me as a coach, we Skype first. I get hella information about what they already do. I know their goals. I know what they're comfortable with. I know, like, we know each other before I can build this whole big plan, blah, 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 blah. But so it's not that I don't feel, it's another, I guess, distinction we can make. It's not that I don't feel qualified to give advice at all, but it's like with 3D, like we don't tell people, we don't give them a program without knowing a lot of stuff, because we know that not everyone's program is going to be the same, right? Or like you said, or I'll be like, here are these books that I wrote with Eric and Andy that are really, really long, and then you can make your own choice. Right. But yeah, and like you said with the dancer, like it's not that I'm so petrified of giving advice that I never would. It's just like I know how complicated the answer can be.
Right. One thing that I just thought of, and it's exactly what we're talking about, is early when I was in school, not even graduated yet, when I was in physical therapy school and I'd be at a family party, I would love when people asked me questions about their pain, because I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything. Oh, your neck hurts? Come on, lay down. Like, I'll do this little like adjustment. Or, oh, you know what it is? It's this muscle that's too tight. This muscle's too weak. Do this stretch. Do this exercise. I guarantee you'll feel better. I used to love that. I used to relish in that stuff.
Yeah.
And now if someone comes up to me at a family party or out, like you're saying, out in the street and asks me a question about something simple, like, hey, I have pain in the front of my knee when I go up and down the stairs, I would say the same thing that you're saying, like, oh, like this is pretty, like, I'm gonna have to know way more about you. I want to like get to know you a little bit before I even say anything.
Yeah, Bert, you nodded so hard there. I felt so good about it.
Yeah, no, I've done that where I've gotten to the point where I had been wrong enough times, which means that it's replaced with new information, and I thought that was the end all, right? So yeah, I gladly would just give people my 2 cents. And yeah, now it's kind of the other way around. Like, to be honest, it's like one of the reasons I switched gyms recently was because over here, like, no one bothers me. They just let me do my thing.
I was gonna say, I bet you get DMs about how how many DMs do you get per week of someone telling you, I lift this many days a week, blah, 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 should I decrease my volume? Or I've been counting my macros for 3 years. These are my macros now. What do you think I should do? Or look at this photo. How much body fat percent do you think I am? How many DMs like that do you get a week, Berto? I need to know.
Too many. Like it's usually like if there's a DM, it's someone wants something and they don't respect context enough because it's like and often like the ones like it's like when I will say something like so recently like my right hip was kind of off and it was impacting my knee and my ankle, but quick fix. It's just like, hey, don't squat, go fucking leg press for like 2 weeks, you'll be fine. So anyhow, my situation, I've had that happen before, so I knew exactly what to do and what not to do. But what that means is I get all these questions about like, what is it? And I'm like, bro, it's like, you shouldn't ask a bodybuilder on Instagram this question. Like that's like
that's your,
like,
that's your first problem.
I know. Number one, not a medical doctor.
So no, I've been there before, and now it's to the point where, man, it's just to help someone and to really help someone. Like I understand like what goes into that to the point where it wouldn't be fair to them in some cases. Like if it's a small thing, like, hey, look at my squat. What do you think? Here's a cue for you to work on. All right, peace. That's it. That's different. But
you messed up. You're gonna have 10 of those this week.
Man, it's like way different. It's like, I don't know, homegirl might have had an eating disorder like ages 9 through like 13,
Yeah.
Right? She's been lifting for 3 months. Like there's just so many, a good answer and like really helping someone is so context sensitive. Like Nick said, it's like, I used to be like, yeah, I got you. I got this. I got a lower push pull for everybody, and now I respect my time and their time too much.
What sucks, though, is you've developed all the trust that they'll ask you questions with anything, right? Including orthopedic issues and pain issues. But then...
Should I divorce my wife? I'm like, fuck, dude. Yeah, no, it's like, you're good at one thing. People just assume you rock at everything. It's like...
Well, you develop this trust, but then, what sucks, or like, and again, by no one's like fault probably, is they could take that question to 10 other Instagram fitness people and get actual answers.
I would literally took the words out of my mouth. I was waiting for a small gap to jump in there.
Sorry.
And you just said what I was going to say.
Sorry, I'm known for that.
Someone answered that about my knee or their knee or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Most likely.
But then those are the people that are gonna profit off of it or are gonna get that person, like the people who give the answer, like, oh, it's what you have to do is this, or this is the split you have to do, or, oh, you know what it is? It's because your hips are weak, so your knee's hurting. So do these exercises and you're going to feel great. It's like, God, man, it's just like.
Nick's getting heated. I saw it.
Give me my soapbox back.
I know, we gave you a tall
one.
Well,
you work so hard to do your job right, and it kind of, it's frustrating when other people don't have the same pride in what they do,
Right. My father and my brother are carpenters, and the work that they do is the fact that they can get raw materials and wood and make it into a kitchen or make it into like a custom cabinet is beyond I've worked with them when I was younger, but like it still like baffles my mind how they can do that. And for someone to just be like, oh yeah, like just get a couple pieces of wood, like what's the best kind of like handle to use on the cabinets? And they're just like, man, like that is not even where you need to start thinking about if you're making a kitchen. Like, so it's like whenever you're passionate about something, whenever you're, close to an expert or have experience in something, and you are trustworthy, those questions are never easily answered. Like, there's a lot to it. There's years and years of experience and different like things that can happen or things that you picked up over the years that it's never that black and white.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, all we can do is just like keep making good work, and the people that want to find us will find us.
Right.
I mean our sector used to be existent, like,
right.
And now we annoy like the popular areas of the fitness industry. It's like
we annoy them.
Those I think so. Yeah. I think there's but you know what? There's always like.
Who do we annoy? I want to hear it. Why are we annoying? I know I'm annoying, but why are we as 3D annoying?
I think it's just, it's just, no, not us necessarily,
Uh,
but I just mean that like the there's always like the jocks and the nerds, I guess, right? It's like you have Brad Castleberry, right, and Eric Helms, and they, like, not that they hate each other, but like that, we'll use those as the poster boys, right? It's like the Castleberries hate the Helms of the world because it's like, hey, stop thinking, lift, and
just
then like,
lift, yeah.
y'all don't work it.
But that's a prime
And
example of someone who like luckily is durable enough. Luckily,
oh yeah,
like a lot of
take
people,
this,
if they just went and lift, they'd be dead in like a year or two. Not dead, but
yeah.
injure something, they'd be fat, eating disorder. One of the many things.
No, and there's misconceptions on both ends. I
Yeah.
mean, but I think it's our, like, us as like the minority, I guess, to take the high road and like do it the right way, because we wouldn't make it a better place if we just kept playing the games they do, and so it's been growing. The sector's been growing, and it's very obvious because there was, I think, I look back to like 1999, 2000, my first year of like, okay, I'm gonna read everything I get my hands on, and like in regards to the options, it made sense. Like I can look back now and see who existed back then. Man, there's probably less than 10 people, and like we could probably extract 25% of what they said is like, okay, this is good information.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've left quite the dent, I feel. So we're on the right path, I think, as a community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see little glimmers of that in healthcare as well. I think patients are coming in with a different mindset. The vast majority not, but I think some have a bit better information at their disposal when they come in. I mean, there's still I have the knees of an 80-year-old. I have the back of there's still that going on, but I think there is, like you're saying, Berto, I think we are making a dent, at least, and not us individually, us people like us. And I think it's also that we're not saying that we're perfect. I think what makes us different, or what makes us worthy of trust, is that we're comfortable saying I don't know, and we're comfortable changing, and we're not married to a certain thing, right? We're just married to that growth like mindset. We just want to get better, and we want to serve people better. And I think when that's what fuels us, I think it's worthy of trust, because if someone admits when they're wrong, or changes and explains things, I think that's all you could do, I think.
Yeah. So if I'm not that we're perfect like you just said, but if I were gonna ask y'all for advice to, let's do like a maker and a consumer. Can we do that to close out for a little bit? Okay. So for consumers, what are some things you think that we could look out for, things to do that would help us to find more trustworthy sources?
Yeah, I would say a lot of what we talked about, I think it has to do with the not the content of what the person is putting out, but I think the mindset behind it. I think if we should be it should be fueled by wanting to get better, wanting to improve. If you hear someone say "I don't know," or you hear someone's thoughts change after having a conversation with someone on a podcast, or those are the kind of things that I would want to follow. I mean, just like I was drawn to you guys, or I'm drawn to other people in healthcare. It's just that consistency. It's that consistent, just honest information. And I think some red flags would be the opposite, right? The red flags would be someone who knows it all, someone who has all the answers, someone who never admits that they're wrong, someone who is perfect. Selling something isn't necessarily a red flag, but it's maybe a yellow flag, because it's not wrong to sell things. But I think when there's, like I said before, if you're the more invested you are in something, the harder you're going to hold on to it. So maybe if someone's selling something, give it a yellow flag and just look into, you make sure you can trust that person. Um, yeah, I just feel like I'm talking in circles here. So someone else start talking.
Bert, you go. I'll go after you.
I just thought of a funny story because we were talking about like Branch Warren and his labrums. But
His hamstring too.
this reminded me of like my first fitness gig. This is totally off topic, but I was working at 24 hours, and they would always give me the Spanish speakers. I was the only dude there that spoke Spanish, and I remember, there's certain Mexicans that like if you speak Spanish to them, even though you got a pretty good idea that they probably don't speak it well, they speak English well, they get offended, you know. So I kind of had those vibes from this dude. So I was like going through the list of just conditions he might have as to whether or not he could have this free personal training session. And I remember just going down the list. And I remember, what's that heart condition? Angina, right? Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I said angina, and I remember him just, he looked at me, he's like, no, I'm a man. And I'm like, just,
They do sound similar. I can't fault him.
Yeah.
It does sound similar.
Yeah. So anyhow.
I like that came into the advice for consumers portion.
I think it's pronounced I think it's pronounced angina.
Is it?
Angina. Okay.
I thought it was angina too.
I don't know. I always call it angina.
What if they changed it just so that people didn't keep making that mistake?
I think it is. And that's why, like, a few years later, so I felt like a fool because I was like, oh, wow, I just kept calling it that in front of all these folks, and some of them might even know what it was. But yeah, it's just been a few years since that's popped into my head. So
I'm glad we can document that.
That's the way I said it, and he had to clear it up for me. So yeah, hey, smart. Hey, he did his own part as a consumer. So let's segue this over to that.
Okay, that was a good transition. Yeah.
I was kind of incorrect here because I think anyone, like, you don't have to be a master at any domain. It's just like I go back to what was I really good at when I was like 12, and I held a Mario Kart world record in Ghost House 1 for about 2 weeks.
That's a big deal.
And that took how long that took to get it to that point, just ridiculous, right? Because you'd be running a perfect race and then like you'd mess up and you have to reset it. So anyhow, very frustrating, but it took a lot of time. So I think if you remind people that like the best way to be a good consumer is to not be a passive consumer, like this isn't, a lot of these things are, you need to be involved. It's like you can't just send your kids to school and be like, all right, they're getting hooked up with the works. That's good. Same thing with your stuff is like whatever it is that you're into, like for you to relay that to someone and they get the most out of, say, their Mario Kart experience, right? You want to teach that how to Mario Kart, like it's going to take like it's going to require his effort and his time. And I think as a consumer, if you realize that, hey, there is no hacks, there is no one secret, this guy doesn't know something that different from anyone else. I think just that alone, when you are involved in that movement, you're going to right away, like if this person's a total quack, like figure that out, and that's how you educate yourself, is like investing time into whatever that might be. That's how of like, hey, like that's how you avoid going to a mechanic for like 5 years and he's like robbing you like for 5 straight years, right? It's the same thing with like fitness, is like you need to do your own part too, they're gonna be a major influence, but you need to be involved. You can't just sit there and get your feet rubbed, I guess.
Yeah, the mechanic is a great example, because I had an issue with my car, like it was leaking some kind of fluid, and I brought it to the mechanic, and he used like all big words that I didn't know what they meant, and I was like, oh damn, that sounds bad. And I'm like, how much are we talking here? And he gave me a price of like, over $1,000 to fix this thing in my car. And then he was like, but to be honest with you, as long as you check the oil and just like change it when it needs to be changed, like you're good, man. Like you'll be fine. And I had so much respect for him after that. Like he just saved me a lot of stress, a lot of money, and I think that story can actually relate back to healthcare, because you go into a healthcare practitioner and they use all words that you don't understand what it means, like degenerative disc disease. That sounds bad, but it's really just normal aging, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
get fed these words that you don't know, and sometimes that happens because the person wants to sound smarter or wants to scare you a little bit into buying their product or to getting into their service or something like that. So another sign of someone you can trust is someone that is going to try to help you um, be more independent, right? I left the mechanic feeling great, feeling like I have the power to help my car as long as I do what needs to be done. And I think that is, I have trust now in that mechanic. I'm going to go back to him every time. I told 10 people that story in that one day. So, I think that will, those kind of people we would hope are the ones that eventually rise to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, man, there's a lot, like how we were saying earlier. I would tell people like I need to learn a lot more to help you, or like there's the pyramid books that we spent years writing or whatever. But for a little bit, I did support for the muscle and strength pyramids, and I can tell you there are a lot of people that buy things and don't read them, and that's that's like step one with Berto being like you have to put in a little work. It's like we literally put this together, and it's very obvious you did not read the full chapter on this exact question that you're asking me. Or like if you know about yourself that you need to be reassured that much, like you need a coach or whatever. So, yeah, like you said, putting in effort on your own end, understanding that literally anything you want requires some type of effort. And it's contrasting because there are some things where you can just put your money there, but not when it comes to your body, and like, I know, I doubt my father will listen to this podcast, but he just had a disc thing going on a couple months ago, and he was like, I just want to have the surgery, whatever, just go in there and fix it. And I'm like, you might want to see a physical therapist because this is pretty common and it heals on its own. And, I know a lot of people that's the case, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I just want them to go fix it. I just cut me open. I'm like, Dad, just give it 6 weeks, but
Yeah.
but I also think that's a difference in upbringing of that was a period where it's like you go to the doctor, they know everything, they're above you, they're better people than you. Like, we don't know anything because the consumer didn't have access to shit,
Yeah.
But that's
You're
how.
not gonna, yeah, you're not gonna reference a study on MRIs to your father. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but
I'm like,
that's,
okay,
yeah,
Dad, but anyways, but that's another example of like you have agency here. You have no idea that you do. Like you've just
right.
been told your whole life that the doctors fix things,
Right.
But other things that have helped me as a consumer would be like studying, yes, a long time, but also like it with some breadth, like unfortunately for how smart the people are with the algorithms or whatever, they put you in holes. Like Berto was saying, like on my little corner of Instagram, everyone seems pretty smart. And that's true until you put like hashtag just fitness instead of hashtag natural bodybuilding. And then it opens you up to like all this other craziness, right? And I feel like I've learned a lot from other sports about any sport that I want to be in, like in terms of with 3D, as the director of operations, obviously, like I know all the people that we are in our circles and that seminar with our coaches and all that stuff too, but I can learn a lot from a baseball coach who is doing a similar business. I can learn a lot from, a fashion magazine and the way that they publish on their website. Like I guess that was a little wide, but like if it's fitness, like sure, there might be some general fitness, but maybe look at what bodybuilders do. Maybe look at what powerlifters do. Maybe look at what, I don't know, yoga people do if you have whatever. Like, I just think that and with nutrition, don't read all the keto website. Maybe read a keto one, read one on the carnivore diet, read one on high carb, read what marathoners eat, which is very interesting. Read what, and like things are gonna, if you can pick up pieces from different places, you start to get a consensus of, okay, if all these, there's people that are, if nothing else that you don't learn, that there's a lot of ways to do this and I have options on how I want to do it and which of these speaks the most to me. I feel like, because there's very rarely one solution for every problem, right?
Yeah. As a consumer, that's excellent advice, but also for a provider, I think looking at other areas, like I don't think too wide even exists.
Yeah.
I mean, if you follow people that have the same principles as what we're talking about here, you can find out something that will change your outlook on your own little world from something like a fashion magazine or something like someone who runs a business, a clothing business or something. But
Yeah.
the way they treat their employees or the way that they do different things, like you can learn things from anyone, because the principles really are just throughout every single thing that we do as humans and in the way that we communicate with each other.
Yeah.
That's like, well, like say like Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee doesn't talk about bodybuilding or doesn't talk about a physical therapy company, or but people from all different aspects of business follow Gary Vee for his principles and his values and the things that he stands for. So I think as a consumer, 100%, Andrea, like look elsewhere, like see what marathoners do, see what the carnivore diet is like. But even as a provider, like don't just limit yourself to the few natural bodybuilding people that you look up to.
Yeah.
Like look elsewhere, because there's possibilities are endless.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I think it's important to look like inward too, right? Like see all the things that are available to you out there. But I think it's really important to match it to yourself, right? So obviously, if I'm not a marathoner, I don't need 500 carbs a day, So like understand like these are all the ways that this can be done. These are all the ways that these fit, good-looking people have made this happen somehow, whether that's athletes, whether that's someone who did it through home workout videos, someone who lifts, someone who whatever. And then there's also like what's important is like, what am I willing to do? Because the perfect body, if that person has 4 hours a day to train and you just don't, like, then maybe you don't follow everything that they do, And so I think, look outward, see. I think once you know that anything can be done multiple ways, literally almost anything, you pick a way that sounds great to you, pick people that sound great to you, and then also like it has to match where you're at and what you want, because I think that's a big disconnect is a lot of people will follow us at 3DMJ and they'll be upset that they don't have results or something. I'll look at their Instagram profile. I'm like, you very heavily party a few nights a week. I can see it right here. Like you also just said for the 5th time in the last month, struggled to make it to the gym this week. And it's like, our athletes don't struggle to make it to the gym. They love it. So obviously we might not be the best information provider for you, Yeah. So, okay, that's it. Looking outwards, looking inwards, finding where that matches, and then all the trust things that we talked about, I guess. Because you got to buy into it. If you don't, like if someone has 1,000 followers, but they just don't, or like 100,000 or whatever, and it just doesn't speak to you, I think that matters on an emotional level. Okay, I'm done. Content makers, Berto, you go. Advice. Well, you are a content maker. You have a lot of followers. What do you think about?
I think, first of all, you got to love what you do, because I think a lot of people who, if you love what you do, you're constantly going to try to get better at it, right? So I think that's key. And I always find myself to be, it's funny, I find myself to be the most productive when it comes to just thinking and creating and things that seemingly pop out of nowhere, like when I'm really after something, when it comes to like my own goals. So yeah, like you need to love what you're doing and kind of just be in the mix. I think in regards to like if you have a phobia as to like when it comes to like, am I creating enough? Is it good enough? I think that helps a lot. I couldn't imagine like existing in some sort of job where I wasn't fully bought into like whatever it was that we're trying to make money off of. So that's always been huge. And I'd say the other one is if you found something that you like, then obviously you have a love for it, you respect it, and you're not going to be around forever. So just like leave it better than how you found it. Like leave a good ripple. I think that's when I have those two things going, when I'm like really loving like my bodybuilding, my eating, that's when I produce the most good stuff. But what helps me keep the message less convoluted and has the better impact is when like I'm trying to do the right thing as I like lay out my ideas to share with others. So yeah, it's like you need to care. So like
What do you mean the
anti-apathy,
right thing?
What do you mean the right thing?
When you say do the right thing, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so let me see. To go through a recent conflict.
Because
Yeah,
that's pretty
so
subjective.
yeah, no, it is. It is. So a recent one, like it was a contest prep thing actually, because um, there was a time where I'm like, man, am I doing the right thing? Because I am like assisting people in emaciating themselves and like really fucking them up. Like when you look at a first time prepper, like you're like, fuck, everyone's mad at you. No one likes you right now. You know, you're a piece of shit at everything else you do. And I hate shaking your hand because it's really fucking cold. Like it's creepy. You know, like and there was like a certain guilt that was associated with that for a minute there. It was a good 6 month phase that I went through. And what turned it around for me, it's like, you know what? But like I can honestly say that a lot of these people, 4, 5, 6 years later, they ended up being really damn good people. And I think this boot camp of sorts played a role in that. Um, so so yeah, it's like I'm always questioning like what I'm doing. Like, well, you know, am I just like here doing this for people like to make a quick buck and fucking them up? And then like I thought about it. I'm like, no, no, no. It's like, yeah, you were not very good at a lot of things your first prep, but you learned a whole lot of lessons. You learned a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it made you a better person in the long run. So yeah, I'm constantly scanning for things like that because the fitness industry, there's a lot of naughty folks out there. It does get to the point where you see enough money and you're like, I'm kind of questioning these ideas, and like they don't go back and check on everything they believe in as often as they should because the money's just flowing in too well, right? So I think it's important because that stuff weighs on you. Because it was getting to the point where with that contest prep dilemma, I'm like, am I really like I'm a bad person sometimes, I guess, right? Like it was starting to weigh on me. So yeah, you need to do that every so often. It's just like check your morals and your ethics. And I think if you do that, like we have a mission statement, and like that really centers me a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, that's what I mean by that. If you do that, man, like you're just gonna give a fuck, and that's gonna show in your work and in the people that you do help.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so like tangibly from that, like you said, like we as a team have a mission statement, but also like you have a personal ethical and moral code. So like the providers that we were talking to, people who make things, I guess, man, that's the thing is it's anyone. I was going to say like for business, but it's like, no, people, that whole thing where like everyone has a brand. It's just like the way it is now. But something to reflect on, a code of some sort, whether it's written or not, but checking like, does what I'm putting out in the world match the way I feel on my insides?
Yeah, that's just summed it up beautifully there. I mean that the mission statement is your guiding light, right? And I think for me anyway, when I started my online stuff that I'm doing now, what took me the longest was writing my why, like writing my mission. Like, what am I doing this for? I'm not doing this to get people out of pain. I'm not doing this. Why am I doing this? It took me the longest time to find out what that was. But because I put so much thought and wrote so many things and erased it and deleted it and wrote them again and wrote them again, I know damn well that I can look back on that mission statement and use it as my North Star and say, any decision that comes my way, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Is this consistent with my mission? And I mean, damn, 3DMJ's mission statement, if that doesn't sum up everything that you guys do, I don't know what does, because it's just very powerful, and I can almost guarantee that someone didn't write that in one night, and just put it up on the website.
Eric did it in class. Isn't that true? He had a class
Yeah,
where he
you
had to like build a
think
business plan, and he and he was
Right,
already
yeah.
in 3D, so but it was a long assignment, I'm sure of it.
Right, and it's time and effort, and there was a structure, and there was a class built around making that one statement. Yeah, and I think that's so important.
Yeah. And you can always revise it, but like you said, it's a North Star, it's something to weigh yourself against, to weigh your decisions against. But maybe annually check in with it.
Yeah,
People change, but yeah, desperate times, man. But if your mission statement is like make as much money as I can, it's like, well, shit. Not that that's
Right.
bad. You can make money, but it's just like maybe don't give advice to people affecting their bodies if that's your main goal. Anyways.
As one more thing, as far as providers, I would say try to don't be the hero. Like, don't be the hero, be the mentor. Like, don't be the person that's the man. Like, don't be the man that you're doing something. Be a team, right? Be a team with your consumer and help them along their journey and have them look back and look at you as a helper rather than that's the reason why I'm here. I think that's important.
That is important. Yeah, I think y'all got the main ideas. I don't really have much to add. Content provider. Give me 3 seconds. No, that's it. I think y'all did it. Just, are you proud of what you're putting out? That's it. And
Hey.
I guess the one thing is it doesn't have to be advice all the time. Like, value doesn't necessarily come in prescriptions. Like it can be it can be, shit, we have a lot of lifters that it's just mind-blowing, that they can lift. And honestly, if you just post, like, that's inspiring. That's a purpose. Like, there's a lot of people that want to be like you, and that's cool. You don't have to say, and so buy my training program or buy, it's just like, I guess you're enough, right? Like, you're enough. What you do is enough. You don't have to be a scientist to provide value to other people. And oftentimes it's when people try to be that they give out the not best advice, or like Berto said, they're trying to do well, but it's like, you butchered it. That's not what he said, because you felt like you had to. And it's like, just, stay in your lane. And your lane doesn't have to be scientist to help people.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Ooh.
What do you think, Bert? Did we do a good job?
Yeah. Just want to remind everyone, Gallant and Nunez in 2020, free gym membership for all U.S. citizens. Like, they get their gym stipend and full length selfie mirrors for everyone, and a Bowflex. And
a hip circle with USA on it.
We could throw that in. Why not? Yeah.
All right, signing off. Get out of here.
Hey everybody, it's Eric Helms. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. As you know, at 3DMJ we promote evidence-based approaches to the lifting community. If that's something you want to dive deeper into, I'd encourage you to check out my research review, Monthly Applications in Strength Sport, or for short, MASS. This is a review that myself, Dr. Mike Zerdos, and Greg Knuckles put out every month. We cover the latest research publications that are applicable to strength and physique athletes, or anyone who's looking to get stronger or improve their body comp. Our content is in both written and video format. For more information on how to subscribe, check out 3dmusclejourney.com/mass. That's 3dmusclejourney.com/MASS for further details. Thanks for tuning in.